everyone! Welcome back. If you're new, I'm Periwinkle Jellyfish, and I'm a silly little person that draws silly little characters and something new that we're going to be going over in this video. So I have not uploaded for a while, and that is because I had really bad art block, and I just could not draw anything. Nothing looked good. I had no idea what I was doing, and I was just stuck for a long time, and I was just thinking, what on earth is happening? But then I heard that really bad art blocks like this can lead to a breakthrough or an art growth spurt, as I like to call it, and turns out this was correct, because then the idea hit me for a completely new avenue of how to go over my art. So I thought, what if I tried to draw not just character designs, but also characters that are in these like unique, weird dreamscapes that just make no sense whatsoever. And I draw just random scenes that look like they're straight out of a dream simply because I thought that would be fun and interesting to draw. So from now on, I'm probably going to be drawing dreamscapes as my specialty, but don't worry, I'll still be doing character designs and stuff along that avenue as well. This is just a different approach to go for. So today we are going to go over one of these dreamscapes that I decided to go for, and for this character, basically they're just floating in this abyss full of just random stuff in the background. Don't mind the little blurb near the top of the screen. My friends were texting me and I forgot to put my thing on Do Not Disturb, and I did not want to reveal any names, so yeah, I'm just gonna have that blurbed out for a little bit. Don't worry though, it'll go away in a minute. So we are currently working on giving this character pajamas to further accentuate the thought that this is a dream. And now begins the first randomness that we will add, and this is a potato wearing a monocle and top hat. I was calling my friends while I was working on this, and I would occasionally ask them for just like random things to add in the background. Just the sky is the limit with randomness. And one of my friends said a potato wearing a top hat and monocle. So I went for it. And another one said a cupcake on her head that's just like dripping onto her head, so oh well, I did that too. Now we're moving on, and I'm thinking about what to add next. For writing such random things like this, I really had to think and like try to figure out what I should add. I tried to add a chair, but that did not work, so I tried to just make a decapitated foot fly around in the background, but yeah, I remembered how hard it is to draw feet, which was fun. So now I'm just drawing a random floating eyeball in the air. And now we're adding a t-shirt in the background. I asked my friends for just a random thing to write onto the t-shirt, and one of my friends said avocado, so avocado is on the t-shirt. And for this, I decided to make a snake wear a hat and play the guitar, because I thought that would be hilarious and also adorable. So here we go. Making the strings on the guitar was especially difficult because I had no idea how to draw straight lines, but if this is a dreamscape, this can just make as little sense as possible, and it'll make sense because this is a dream. So I'm just trying to make things make no sense whatsoever. Gravity and lighting to work in weird ways, just like the sky is the limit with the randomness. So I made a banana doing the splits on a table, and now I am drawing a fish, and it has legs and shoes, because I thought that would be glorious. I decided to make the fish go upside down, moved the t-shirt, and I was trying to figure out what to add in this empty space, and I thought about adding a sad sun, and now we are moving on to screen recording, because sometimes I don't want to draw at my desk. I want to draw on the couch in a heated blanket, because that is cozier and I'm able to do more stuff. So yeah, we're going to be transitioning to sometimes a little bit of I lost my words, a little bit of screen recording, a little bit of recording on my phone at my desk. It really just depends on how I'm feeling that day. On some videos, it may just be entirely screen recorded. On some videos, it could be a mix of screen recorded and phone recorded. It could be just phone recorded. I don't know. A few changes are going to come to this channel, as just like that new art style that I mentioned. So, yeah. Now we are working on the hair, and I wanted the hair to just be flowing and going in all sorts of weird directions, just because I thought it would be fun. And I like how just drawing things in this kind of like dreamscape, I'm able to just have complete artistic liberty and just do whatever I want with gravity and the way things are moving. And if it doesn't make sense, I can just excuse it as, well, it's a dream. It's not supposed to make sense. So I like that. So now I'm working on the pajamas. I wanted this to look like she, just woke up after taking a nap or going to bed. So I thought pajamas would, be a good way to accentuate that idea. And also there is a cat trying to eat her right now. But so, that's fun. It's always nice when a cat is trying to eat you. So now we're just continuing on with the pants and the socks. And I decided to redo it for some reason because I didn't think it looked good enough on the first try, so I just tried that again. Now we're working on the cat that is trying to eat her arm because, that's a show of love. Obviously, that probably isn't, but I've also never really had a cat before, so that was just me being sarcastic. Now we are drawing the avocado shirt and writing out the avocado. Now for the fish with legs, this glorious, glorious creature. And of course the shoes. Now we are adding the banana who's doing the splits on a table because it can. And now we're just finishing up on that table. And now we move on to one of my favorite parts of this drawing, Mr. and Mrs. Potato. So the potatoes don't exactly have faces, they just are accessorized. So we have a potato, and we have a top hat and a monocle. That is all for Mr. Potato. He is just Potato wearing things. Now let's move on to the snake, which was one of the best parts as well. I love that this snake just is playing a guitar even though it doesn't have fingers, and I imagine that it is the most beautiful player you have ever heard, and that is just beautiful. So I made one of the strings snapped off and just like put my goodness, I cannot talk today. One of the strings is snapped off, but the snake does not care and he's just continuing to play. I tried to make the strings a little bit thicker at one point, but that just wasn't working too well and it was just really tedious, so I decided, what the heck. So now we are adding Mrs. Potato, who is wearing a gorgeous flowing dress. I had to erase a few of the lines for the sake of no overlap. And now we are adding an adorable little bow to Mrs. Potato and just some lipstick. Again, she does not have a face. It's just a potato wearing lipstick and a dress and a bow. Okay, we're adding another eye, and now we're working on the actual face of this little character. So this was overall pretty simple. I made her expression pretty concerned because, well, cat is trying to eat her, so yeah, that's fun. Now we can move on to coloring, and as always, let's start out with the hair. I never really know how to narrate the streaky part of the hair, so I usually make these parts just a lot faster than other things just because I never know how to do this. And now let's move on to another phone recorded part of this video, and this will be the rest of our footage. So we've finished drawing the character. I made her design fairly simple so that she doesn't take too much attention away from the background, and now we are starting on Mrs. Potato. So let's just give her a basic potato-y color. And of course, we can't forget about Mr. Potato, who's just there. He deserves this color as well. And now we are coloring in the bow and that dress. I wanted to make the dress sparkly, so I added a glitter tool and a little bit of lipstick. I had to color that in real quick, and now we move on to Mr. Potato. He has a fancy gold monocle because he is in high ranks of society, potato society, and then I realized that I put everything on the wrong layer, so that was fun, and I had to redo all of it, but since I already had all the colors picked out, I just had to kind of redo this, and picking out the color part of this wasn't too difficult. I had to erase a mistake that I found in the line art, and then continue on with giving Miss Potato a dress, and then adding more glitter, because there is never enough glitter. So yes, I'm just making that very, very sparkly. And now let's recolor in that bow. Very gorgeous, Miss Potato. You have wonderful fashion sense. And now let's just add in that lipstick, and we are done with Miss Potato. So now let's move on to Mr. Potato, who has a beautiful top hat, a mustache, and a golden monocle. And this was overall pretty simple, and I just had to finish up a few little mistakes, and then we could move on to the next part of this background. So now we're moving on to the avocado shirt, and I just quickly colored this in with yellows. I usually use a lot of cold colors simply because I'm more drawn to that, but for this drawing I wanted to add a lot of warm colors and things that complement each other, just so that it would all kind of fit together nicely and all the colors would be cohesive. It was at this point that I realized that the eye in this eye makes no sense, and I was trying to figure out what on earth I was thinking, and so I had to adjust it a little bit, and then it was looking a lot better. So there we go. Now we're moving on to the beautiful fish with legs. As you can see, I went for maximum randomness. The sky is the limit with this sort of thing. And I'm adding a little bit of a transparent second layer to the fish's fins. And now we're going to fix the other eye that is just floating around because it does that. We're going to give this a bit of a grapey color, and now we can move on to the snake, who I imagine is named Eddie, and he eats dynamite for fun, because who doesn't eat dynamite for fun? Of course, this is based off of the tuning little rhyme. For anyone who plays guitar, you probably know this, but for tuning, there's a little thing to remember what to tune your strings with. E-A-D-G-B-E, Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. That's the name of the strings anyway. As you can tell, I am great at explaining this sort of thing. So yeah, the snake's name is Eddie, and he eats dynamite for fun because it is his favorite food. Now we are moving on to the snake. Not the snake, we finished the snake. The banana, who is doing the splits, and now we can move on to this cat that is lovingly trying to eat this person, which is, fun. Now we're moving on to the background of the background. And I wanted this to kind of look like arcade flooring, if that makes sense. Like, it's dark, but then there's a bunch of just random brightly colored shapes, and then I decided to blur it because I thought that would just be a cool effect. Now we're moving on to rendering, which is basically just going over the line art and giving it fun coloring. And since this is a dreamscape, I thought it would be fun to add just really random coloring for the lines, just because, this would be more random and insane and feel unrealistic, which is exactly what I'm going for. Now we're coloring over the eyes, and this is overall a pretty simple step. I just need to, go over it, and it's a little bit of a repetitive process, but oh well, I did this to myself anyway. So once we're done with that, we are just about done. We just have a few more steps, which is to move everything into one layer, folder, I mean. Lots of folders into a folder, and then do this nice little lighting on the character specifically, but not the rest of the background. I learned this the hard way. Don't mix the background and the character. But here we are. We are done, and here is the finished drawing. Okay, so here's our finished drawing, and I really like how it turned out, and I'm loving this new approach for my art style and this dreamscape kind of thing that I'm going for. I hope that you like it as well, and I need a little bit of help thinking of random things to add in the background of these dreamscapes, so the sky's the limit with the randomness. Surprise me, and I'll choose a few things for my next video, maybe. So yeah, I believe that's all, so I will see you again later. Bye!